TitleMatchNetwork.com.
A lot of the guys in books and in interviews, they've taken shots at Mark Marrow. I know you kind of went toe-to-toe with him a little bit on one of those interview shows. But as a worker, is he as bad as the guys say that he is? Or
his work?
Yeah.
I'll tell you one thing. I don't mean to stammer here, but say I was doing a book.
Yeah.
I have no intentions of ever just putting guys down that their work's the shits. I don't like this guy. I don't like that guy. The only reason I brought up the Buzz Vader thing is because I'm just point blank, and it's nothing I haven't told them to, told him to his face. Yeah. And that got straightened out. So, but I just can't say, I don't want to sit here and say his work's the shits or it's a guy. I don't want to put guys down.
I hate even asking you, but it's to the fact where almost every guy mentions him, at some point.
I think a lot of guys, I don't know if his work was all that bad. I think a lot of guys just had a bitter taste in their mouth for him. So anything negative that can be said about him goes that way. I don't know why Mark came off bitter on some of those news programs we did. It makes it look like he's on a crusade here to clean some things up, which who made you the self-appointed globe-trotting peacemaker or crusader of wrestling? It's like, calm down. But what gets me with Mark, I always got along with him. I did. That news show, it pissed me off that one night. But I'll never understand why he has a bitter tone in his voice at all for wrestling. Because I think, don't hold me to this either, but I think he was one of the first guys to have a guaranteed contract in there.
And I think that's a lot of the root of the bitterness from guys from that era.
Well, it may be the root of their bitterness, but he shouldn't have any bitterness. Right. What the hell is up your butt that you have to complain about when you had the first guaranteed contract for all those years? Yeah. You had it made. Yeah. Stop complaining, man. Calm down. Go enjoy your life.
Yeah. Yeah. And, not to get off topic, but, I never heard a peep out of him for the last 8-9 years about it. And then all of a sudden, he's on TV every 5 minutes.
Yep. It's not like, believe me, I didn't come out of the woodwork and just volunteer to do those TV shows. I don't know how those people knew to get a hold of me or why. Now, Benoit was one of my best friends, and I knew him longer than anyone, but I wasn't the closest to him. Mm-hmm. Eddie was by far closest. I'd say even Dean Malenko, Jericho, those guys were probably closer with him from years on the road. I knew Benoit from being in Stampede, and we were tight, and we were together every day. And then I just knew him for a longer period of time. I considered him one of my best friends because I knew I could trust him 100%. I knew he didn't, snitch on people. He was, and back then he was a good guy, contrary to whatever happened down the road. Yeah. But and I lost my train of thought there.
About Marrow popping up on the shows.
And about Marrow popping up. So these news people, they contacted me, like I said, and I don't know how they found out that I knew him so long. But a couple of those places called me 5 times a day until I actually finally agreed to go ahead and do them. Now, I'm sure part of it was because nobody in WWF was allowed to do any. Right. They put a gag order on them, so to speak, for a month and a half. And then that narrowed the choices down. So I'm sure that was a big part of it, but I still don't know how they got my number. I don't know how they knew to contact me or anything. And I was even on vacation, and one time I'm like, man, we're on vacation. We're at the beach. Well, they called me back an hour later. I know they were trying to get other guys, and maybe they weren't as knowledgeable on Chris, or maybe they just said flat out no. I'm finally like, all right, I'll do it, But it after doing so many of them, it became monotonous. I was by the 5th or 6th one, I was just like tired of it. Yeah. What Chris did was just brutal. I feel worse for his family because they're the ones that still have to sit around and go through all the negative, comments made by people. I don't know what spurred it on, numerous headshots, combination of all the drugs, different things like that. I'm painkillers. I know they did a test on his brains that it looked like an 80-year-old Alzheimer's patient. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Something like that,
which I believe, because there's days a lot of us have trouble grasping our thoughts completely. And I don't mean just from chair shots. I mean just when you have 3,000 wrestling matches and you just land 10 times a night, it rattles you. When you get hit with chairs 20 times, you land on the concrete floor, it's easy to have a couple dozen concussions. If I've had a dozen concussions, Benoit's had 25 concussions. Yeah.
And I guess you really don't know at the time if you had a concussion, and you just keep wrestling if you're on the road.
Right. Now, I know there were times where I got checked where I had some, but then there were other nights where I hit my head even a lot harder. So I knew I was even worse off with those concussions than I was before. but I just didn't get them. I just didn't take time off.
Wow.
But I mean, I've seen Chris, and I don't mean just single us to it. I mean, I've seen many of the guys take a lot of hard shots.
Yeah.
So,
did you get any heat from at the office or maybe any of your colleagues when you did those couple of shows, like Larry King and Nancy Grace? Anybody say, hey?
No, most of the guys were happy with what I was saying out there. Yeah. You know, it's like my whole thing is those things are prevalent in sports. Steroids are prevalent, painkillers are prevalent. So, you know, as an adult, you have to know what boundaries not to cross. Like I said to Miro on that one show, I mean, nobody's filling a platter with all this stuff and shoving it down your throat. These guys are adults; they make adult choices. You know, well, if you're injured, stop taking 20 Percocets a day and take 2 of them. You know, if your liver is giving you problems and you're taking all these roids, well, stop taking them for 2 months and then cut back on them. You know, I mean, like, it's not like somebody sits around and monitors. Now, like I said there too, could this drug testing be more stringent? Of course it could. But can it be more stringent in baseball, football, everything else? Of course it can. It's the same. You know, and no owner of an organization making that much money is going to come out and just drug test everyone to the degree where he's suspending a bunch of the guys. Now, if he gets pressure on him from the outside, you know, like Congress or something, well, of course he'll abide by it, I'm sure, and do what he has to, just like baseball and football. Yeah. But it's the same in every sport. So them trying to single out, you know, wrestling or say, well, Benoit did this because of these, you know, come on, we don't know how many. I haven't seen any serial killers get arrested before for taking steroids, so let's not start now. Yeah.
TitleMatchNetwork.com